Jonathan Kerr. I'm the founder of SGS Fitness. We're a registered charity. Our purpose is to handle as advanced youth health education. Whoa, shut down. So give me a moment to start this thing up again.
It needs food.
Nah, it needs electricity. So anyhow, we're a registered charity. We advance youth health education. This is our first year of events doing the Health Entrepreneurship Symposium. I thank you ever so much, all of you, for coming by and participating, both the attendees and the delegates and the volunteers. My presentation is on the business of fitness. Technology's not my thing. There we go. I just got to figure out how to change these slides.
Just click on the bottom.
F5.
Right,
F5?
And you press the red and key change.
Oh, there we go. All right. There we go. Oops, let me just. I'm going to get rid of that, but that's okay. So anyhow, as this is the business of fitness, the first thing that everyone assumes fitness is personal training, working out in the gym and what have you not. And it's not really that. It's not about losing weight. It's not about getting abs. It's not like about getting the body that you had when you were 18 years old. What fitness is essentially is the commercial exchange of scientifically based intellectual property. So as Glenn was discussing, a lot of people come up with science. Some of it's fact, some of it's fiction, but whatever it is, you need to start off, if you're going to work in the fitness industry, you need an idea. And that's about 90% intellectual, 10% labor. If you don't have an idea of what you're going to do, it's very hard to succeed in the fitness industry. You have to have a fundamental goal. It's great to say, well, I'm going to help you lose 20 pounds. And then if you just regurgitate something that they read off TV, like the South Beach diet, or what have you not, people will not exactly gravitate towards your services because they're already basically familiar with it. So what a lot of people do is that they make stuff up, or they take stuff that exists and just kind of modify it, which is the concept of entrepreneurship. And this is just one of the things about the fitness industry that exists. Now, to start off, to get into the fitness industry, you need a plethora of tools. You're going to need a good partnership with your banker. You're going to need a good partnership with a lawyer. You're going to need a good partnership with an accountant. You're going to need a good partnership with the government. You're going to need colleagues in your industry, be it massotherapy, yoga, kinesiology, what have you not. You need a team to work around with you if you want to get into the business of fitness. It is very, very hard to fly solo, and it's not just the fitness industry, it's really any industry, but that's a sort of secondary. If you want to go into the car industry or the clothing industry, you need a fully functional team. You need people to handle your legal documents. You need people to handle your finance. You need people to do your accounting. You're one person, you're not a jack of all trades that can do all these things. So you need to build a team together and work in the fitness industry. Now, what the advantage of working in the fitness industry is that, well, you obviously get involved in health and wellness. Now, that's very important if you really are passionate and are really dedicated about the fitness industry. This should not be a problem. A lot of people get into the fitness industry because it's quick bucks. It's a necessity industry with obesity rates that are going to be what they are today. This is a guaranteed level of clientele that's coming up with you. So they talk about obesity rates, 1 out of every 3 people, children are obese. Well, these kids, if they don't start exercising and eating right or learning how to do it in their 20s and 30s, may not live towards 40. So really, this is a target demographic that cannot be lost because they're going to have to do it or they die. So you need to know what you're doing. You need to be able to network. You need to be able to talk to people. Shake as many hands. Hi, I'm John. I work in the fitness industry. Hi, John. I'm yoga. John, I'm massotherapy. If they don't know and identify who you are and what you do, they're going to have a very hard time being gravitating towards your services and feel the need for what you say and what you do for it to be relevant. It's another thing as well is that personal training or massotherapy or yoga and all that stuff, even if you do stuff on the side, and that's what a lot of people start off with as well, is that it's this part-time gig. You know, if you work as a personal trainer, you get free gym memberships, you know. If you work in a yoga studio, you get free yoga classes, which sure beats paying $20 for each session and all that stuff. So you come in, you teach a yoga class, you get yourself your own 1-hour workout, you make a few bucks, you make a lot of connections, you shake hands with all the clientele that are in the yoga class. You know, if you're a personal trainer, shake all the hands with all the gym members, and you can build a networking team and a clientele team. Once again, it's very important that you build a team to work in the fitness industry. Now, there's many, many types of fitness industries. You have, well, fitness centers that we all aware of, Good Life Fitness and so on and so forth. But you also have clinics, wellness clinics, medical clinics, physiotherapy clinics, kinesiology clinics. You have distribution as well. So for example, if you come up with an equipment tool, you know, how are you going to get it into the stores? So you need distribution, so you can open up a distribution company. There's legal contracting, because when you do fitness, you're dealing one-on-one with people, and there's an element of liability. So you need legal contracts to protect your rights and protect your money and all that stuff from other people who can make claims that you created problems. There are a lot of lawyers that specialize exclusively in the fitness industry. So when you deal with a lot of the amount of yoga teachers that are out there, the amount of massotherapists out there, the amount of personal trainers out there, each one has its own contracts, its own terms, its own conditions. You need a lawyer to handle this. So some lawyers can just be busy right along on personal trainers. Insurance as well. We're going to talk to that at the end of the day as well. Insurance is a very, very important component of the fitness industry because you need to protect yourself. You also know how to market yourself. So if you can't sell yourself, you can outsource a marketing firm to set up your merchandise, your advertisements, your brochures, your pamphlets. So if you're really good at marketing, you can specialize in the health industry. Because every industry has its own target demographics, it has its own clientele base. So car aficionados will be different than bicycle aficionados, which will be different than gym people and all that stuff. So you can structure marketing based around the personalities and the types of personalities, I should say, of these people that engage in the fitness game. Now, you're all here because you're here to learn something. You're all registered in school because you come to learn something. And you need to start off anywhere in life with an education. It doesn't even matter if it's the fitness industry. If you want to be in the banking industry, you have to go to get a BCom or B-Finance. If you want to work in the fitness industry, massotherapy, doctor, dentist, you need at least a Bachelor of Science, and the dentists and doctors, you have to move up to the PhDs and all that stuff. But education is a very, very important component of a success in any field of endeavor which you do. So you start off essentially with basically a college or university diploma. Now to get into basic fitness business, you need at least a background component of one of the following things. You need to know about science. So when you talk about health and nutrition, well, I have a science diploma, I know what I'm talking about. Or if you're going to be doing the accounting side of things of your business and you have someone else do the rest of the marketing, you need to have an accounting degree. If you're going to handle the law aspect, you need to have a law degree, so on and so forth. And then, of course, there's the certification. So if you want to be a massotherapist or a yoga instructor or a personal trainer or a kinesiologist and all that stuff, there's certification. If you want to be a chartered accountant, you still, even after you finish your accounting diploma, you have to take a certificate of chartered accountancy. If you want to become a lawyer, you want to specialize, you're still going to need a certificate in law. So no matter what you do after you finish your university studies, you will still need a certification. People think, well, I went to university, so I know everything. No, university gives you a broad field and a broad understanding of what it takes, of the knowledge that you need. But certification, depending on what your goals, what your endeavors are, will help you pinpoint and give you the exact specific knowledge which you will need to succeed. Now, before you get into certification, there's a lot of certifications out there in the fitness industry. There's many, many yoga, many, many massotherapy, many, many personal trainers, personal training certification. But one thing that a lot of them do not have is accuracy. Remember, it's not about science, it's about coming up with an idea and marketing it. So some of these people, and it's literally existed, there was one in the fitness industry, a personal training thing, and this was in the 80s, the American Bodybuilders Federation, where they actually had a typo, and this was the tricep. And they started pushing out books and tests and all that stuff, but this was the tricep. Now this is the 1980s and 1990s, we're a bit more refined now, but this just goes to show you that if you didn't know what your anatomy, you didn't know what it was, and you took this test, you'd be going telling everyone this is the tricep, because I took the certification course, therefore I know. So there is a regulatory body, it's a law named the National Commission of Certifying Agencies. They're an overseeing body that covers all certifications, from accountant to law to fitness, whatever. So they have, you submit to the National Certification Association, they take a look at it, they have a panel of people who review, and if it's accurate, they'll give you an approval, and then you have a registered certification. And this matters because there's a lot of yoga out there, there's a lot of massotherapy, personal training, but they're not accurate. These people will go to the professionals, the doctors, the lawyers, the accountants, and they will ensure the accuracy of the certification. So if you want to take the certification, you may want to make sure that it's approved by them because you will guarantee that it's be accurate. There's a lot of stuff on the internet. You don't know if it's right or wrong. That's the point of taking the certification. So you're paying for education, but the education you're getting has got a lot of misinformation, a lot of errors. And if you take it out into the public, it's going to create a problem for you. Because a lot of people will say, well, you don't know what you're talking about because that's not the choice. So then you come up with, but I took the certification, but it doesn't do good for your business. So if a lot of people think you're spewing out misinformation and will catch you on it, it doesn't do well for your credibility and it won't do well for your future. Now, some basically stats that you may want to know about the fitness industry. On average, in whole, 15% of the Canadian population engage in health and fitness activities, pardon me. Basically 10% in rural. In more rural towns, they're not exactly more endeavored into the health side of things. And it's up to 20% of people in more educated areas. So when you go to a Westmount or you go to a Dollar Days or lower, you're going to get a higher demographic of people that engage in fitness. When you go to a small town with population 15,000, there's a lot less people that engage in fitness. There's a lot less people that engage in yoga. There's a lot less people that engage in massotherapy. So as Denny said earlier about location is very important. Douglas, pardon me. Location is very important. So if you're going to be doing a fitness-based activity or company, it's best to do it in a high population area than a low population area. Generating money, that's the reason why we're all here. The first things you got to do is you got to think about what I want to do with my company. You know, Doug talked about that and Denny talked about that as well. So you're going to need a business documentation. You need to incorporate a business. It's very easy to work for cash. For personal training with me, it's $35 a session. And I pocket it. But that's just a kind of a catch thing like that, because a business is only good as it generates money. So if you wind up, pardon my expression, if you're walking down the street and get hit by a truck and you're in the hospital for 2 months with broken legs, you're not generating any money for your business. So a business itself first has to be in the documented form, be it a sole proprietorship, corporation, partnership, what have you not. And you know, if you can build it up and get employees and all that stuff, that's fantastic. Because just paying for cash and working for cash and doing for cash under the table and all that stuff, while it sounds great, well, I'm not paying taxes. In the long-term goal, it will work against you. Because if you want to build, you're going to need some sort of paperwork and some sort of paperwork trail and documentation to successfully prove your business, grow your business, and exist your business. You're going to need money as well to grow and develop. If you just work for cash under the table, how are you supposed to go to RBC with these are my financial, these are my accounting papers, look how much money, you know, I made $10,000 in 2010, now I'm up to $20,000 in 2012, in 2014 we're going to make 40. If you don't have the financial documentation to validate this, you're never going to get business financing, not from the BDC, not from the RBC, not from a credit union, maybe your mom at best, and that's pretty much about your source of finance. You have to know your competitors. Now, a fitness industry is basically consists of this 20-kilometer radius of where your business is going to exist. So you're going to stick a yoga studio. You got to know all your competitors that exist within the 20 kilometers radius, because there's a lot of yoga studios out there. There's a lot of massotherapy studios out there. There's a lot of kinesiology studios. There's a lot of personal trainer studios. There's a lot of gyms. So the consumer has an option. So if you're going into an area where there's only 10,000 people, or pardon me, 100,000 people, 20% engaged in fitness, that means you're going to have 20,000 clients. If there's only 4 gyms there, that's 20 divided by 4, which means you can anticipate a maximum of only 5,000 members enrolled in your gym within 1 year. So if your break-even point is 6,000 members and you're only going to be generating 5,000 members, this may not be a good sign that this is a good place for your business, because you're not going to attract that much traffic, and therefore you're not going to make any much revenue. You're also, once again, liability. Be it massotherapy, kinesiology, yoga, you're liable for injury. You're dealing one-on-one with people, and this is what really kills a lot of people. Canada is not so bad, we have Medicare, but when you go to the States, they're lawsuit happy. And you know, if you're not really protected with your insurance company, if you don't have the right in terms of liability insurance with your insurance company and all that stuff, you could be held responsible for a lot of dollars stemming from damage or injury. And if you wind up having to pay $100,000 because you hurt somebody, your business is not going to go anywhere, and you're going to probably go under. Now, Denny and Douglas also talked about this. No matter what you do when you start off in your fitness business, you best get some experience before you decide you want to open up your own business. So just like the other two gentlemen said, so I won't go there, you should start off with a job. That's pretty much the only way to go. Then after that, if you really, really like it, if you develop relationships, if you develop a solid clientele basis, that's when you could start considering opening up your own business. Now you have these things called independent contractors. They're the ones that you see, you know, I'll just do it for 20 bucks and all that stuff. And I just discussed that just 2 seconds ago. These people are very, very dangerous. You don't know, you can't get them for liability. Like if I do personal training me and just some of them just paid 30 bucks and I wind up getting myself hurt, how am I supposed to track me down for liability to get my money back for compensation for my loss of time and my injuries? I can't. This creates a lot of bad ill will. Independent contractors, not to say they're not illegitimate, but when you don't have a structured business, when you don't have liability, when you don't have some sort of traceable documentation, these people come and go. And if you're going into business, and a lot of businesses, as Danny had said before, come and go, if you really want to stay, you really need to have a solid business foundation. So independent contractors, just people that work for cash, they rarely stick around in this world. For whatever reason, whatever happens, they come and go. If you're getting in business, you have to focus on being on business to stay in business. Not just, well, I'm going to open my doors and go bankrupt in 3 years. If that's your attitude, don't get into business, get a job. You got to be able to grow and develop. So independent contractors, while the individuals may have merit, on the business side of things, it's not the best direction for you to go, because in the end, they come, they go, you want to stay, and you will need a registered business to exist. Now, if you're going to get the job, which they've all talked before, I'll just go over this real quickly. The first time, you start off on the floor. If you're a yoga instructor, you're going to have to do some teaching in a classroom at a Good Life Fitness, or what have you not. A personal trainer, you're going to have to work the floor. Entry-level jobs, folks, don't make money. You're there to learn. You learn the business, you learn the clientele, you learn the needs. If you're thinking about, well, I'm working 10 hours and I'm making $12, therefore $120, that's the wrong attitude to approach any job. Okay, you're there to learn. You're to learn to gain experience in the field of industry. You'll learn to, talk to people, and you'll learn to grow professionally. Forget about how much I'm earning on my paycheck. That is the worst attitude, and when the people that function basically on the paychecks don't really last, because you need the passion, you need the dedication, you need the integrity. Without these, it doesn't mean anything. You're just regurgitating stuff. Hopefully you're going to get some sort of $12. Maybe someone will give you money later on, maybe this, maybe that. Business doesn't roll that way. Business is concrete, business is fact, business is numbers, not theory. So the commission rate, basically, if you pick up a personal trainer's contract or a yoga client or a mesotherapy client, as a job, you're basically working at 40% commission. Some companies will try to shortchange you with 35%. Some companies pay you 30%. Some companies won't pay you at all. You're doing an internship. But, right off the bat, you're there to learn, not make money, so we're not going to dwell on that. Some people may have, you need to have a specific mesotherapy certification, you need to have a specific yoga certification, you need to do specific personal trainer certification. You have to comply with that. It's a job. They're your boss. That's the way it is. And a lot of instances, in the fitness industry, you're going to need CPR and AED, which is for cardiac arrest and all that stuff. Even yoga instructors, mesotherapy instructors, everyone needs CPR in the fitness industry. So don't be surprised when you're told that you're going to need it just to apply for a basic job. So now you're going to decide, I want to start off my own business. Now, as Denny said, it's all great, or Douglas said, I'm just going to I'm going to open up a company, I'm going to sign a 5-year lease and all that stuff. You're stuck with that. The next best step is to rent a small space. So if you want to be a masotherapist, if you want to be a kinesiologist, the best place is just to rent an office in a gym. And you go to a Good Life Fitness doesn't work that day, but we'll just use the Good Life Fitness name for branding purposes. You go to Good Life Fitness, I want to rent the office, okay, you use $250 a month rent, you're your own boss. They're not going to do anything for you, you do everything for yourself. But if it goes really well, great, then you can build that. If it doesn't go well, you're not stuck with a 5-year lease, paying all the debts and all that stuff and all that. So it's always been best to rent small before you start getting into your own place. You can do corporate, you can do residential services. You can go to people's houses as your own business. You can go to corporations as your own business. You know, office yoga, office massotherapy, office personal training. You've heard these things before, home personal training, home massotherapy. There's just ways to go. You don't need to spend thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars for a fancy office and all that stuff. You may just want to decide to go to where the money is, and instead of trying to get the money to come to you. That's just my opinions. With seminars, lunches, and learns, these are fantastic networking opportunities, and this is a great way to expand your clientele basis as well as networking. Now, I go to a lot of conventions. That's where I met Denny and all that stuff, and I go to a lot. I have a .ca website, so I go to the Canadian Internet Registry Association. When you register a website at the .ca, you pay your fee to become an automatic member of the Canadian Internet Registration Association. I go to their events. These are computer people. A lot of these people just sit by the computer, they're obese, they smoke. So this is a great place to pick up clients. I don't see any other personal trainers there. I don't see masotherapists there. I don't see yoga instructors there. But I can tell you one thing, these people are hurt. These people need to lose weight. They know it. So why don't the individual take the initiative to go to these events? No one really does. So this would be a fantastic opportunity to pass around your cards, shake hands with your brochures. You have your documentation, you're a registered business, you're not just some fly-by-night cash person, so they can track you down if need be. So why don't people do that stuff? It's a fantastic way to drum up business, and it's a thing a lot of people should consider. They just kind of like open up a store and wait for people to come. And there's the last thing that you need to know about, and this is probably, if anything in my entire presentation, is the most important thing you need to know. The success of being self-employed is related to your EBITDA. This you need to know no matter what happens. If you start a dry cleaners business, you need about your EBITDA. If you start an automobile dealership, you need to know about your EBITDA. If you start a gym, you need to know your EBITDA. Your EBITDA is your earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation and amortization. Your earnings are your revenues, before is your subtraction, and the EBITDA is your expenses. And revenue minus expenses equals profit. And that's what we're here to do to make money. That's what your goal is to start a business, because it's great to have a business, but if it's not making money, it's not really good. So your earnings are your assets, your equity, your collateral, and your cash flow. These are the things that you own. Your building, your machinery, your car. Your cash flow is the amount of revenue that you generate minus your day-to-day expenses. So if you bring in $1,000 of revenue in sales and alternative revenue streams, and you have to pay $500 to the plumber because your plumbing broke, 1,000 minus 500 is $500, and that's your operational cash flow. That $500, not the $1,000 in sales, but the $500 gets incorporated into your bill. Your interest, if you get a bank loan, there's interest incurred to that. That means if you get a $1 million loan, you wind up having to repay that loan, but it's 1.1 million. But if that's just part and parcel of loans and all that stuff. You need equipment financing. So if you need to buy a massotherapy bench, or you need to buy a personal training piece of machinery and all that stuff, and you finance it because you can't afford to drop the whole coin right on the top, they're going to charge you interest. Future Shop does that. It's really small print. There's always interest, Leon's and all that stuff. Your taxes, everyone knows what taxes. Your government payroll, your property taxes. These are part and parcel of things that you have to pay. There's a depreciation. So when you buy a car, for example, that's a car that you want to put towards your business expenses. You go to a dealership, you buy a car for $20,000, and as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's worth $10,000. So you're just out $10,000, just like that, because you drive the car off the lot. This is a tax deduction, and you got to put it in your EBITDA because they have to be accountable for that loss of $10,000. That's a small accounting principle, and your accountant will have to deal with that, but everyone has to deal with depreciation. And amortization. Now that's obviously if you get a building and all that stuff, as Gabrielle said before, so if you purchase a building, you can have amortization rates and all that stuff. You have to incorporate that into your EBITDA. So the amount of money you make minus the amount of money you spend equals your gross profit. So you need to factor in all these things when you do a business plan, when you do your financials, because it's all about money in the end, and this is all about money. So that's probably the most important thing out of this entire presentation. Now, as we talked about networking, there's employment events, there's conventions, there's financial seminars, property management events. Do business with the people who do business with you. Okay, this is how you build relationships. If I buy your services, The trick is that you buy my services. That's how survive. That's how relationships develop. Because if you're just kind of like, well, I'm just going to use you for this, and then I'm going to use you for this, and I'm going to use you for this, all your folks are going to do is remember that you got used by me. So the next time I go to need your services, you can be like, well, thanks very much, John. Have a great day. You know, you just can't do that. You have to share. You have to work with everyone. The people, the users, you can fool some of the people some of the time. You can fool all the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. And eventually you run out of people to fool. And then once you run out of people to fool, if you're trying to make money off of people, you're not going to make money and you're going to be long gone. You gotta have integrity, you gotta have passion, and you gotta have dedication to what you're doing. It's gotta be something that you believe. The get rich quick people, they make a lot of money quick, but they don't last. And if they don't last, neither does the money that they made getting quick, and they're back in the poorhouse shortly right afterwards. So once again, these are the big decisions about getting into the fitness industry. What kind of business model do you want? Do you want to incorporate? Do you want to be a sole proprietor, or do you want to be a partner? Do you want to be a for-profit business or a non-profit business? You know, Good Life Fitness is a for-profit business. YMCA is a non-profit business. It's a charity. Where do you want to register your business? Then you have two types of choices. You can register provincially, or you can register federally. If you want to do things across Canada, you have to register federally. If you just want to do things in Quebec, you may want to consider registering provincially. There's not really that much of a difference between provincial and federal registration, except for terms of geography. And in some instances, because Quebec has got its own unique business laws in comparison to the rest of Canada, if you want to work in Quebec business laws, you may want to register in Quebec, or if you don't want to deal with Quebec business laws, you register federally and you deal with Canadian business laws. What kind of equipment do you want to buy new, or do you want to buy used? New, you know, it depreciates more, you can take a bit of a loss, but used may not last that long because it's been used before. So you got to factor in all these kind of decisions, like if it's just a basic bench, that's one thing, but if it's an electronic piece of machinery, and like an iPhone and all that stuff, if you look at 2 years ago, they came out with the iPhone 4, now, you know, it's like, whatever, it's a joke, now it's the 5S. You know, so 2 years ago, the technology, useless. So it all depends on how you want to invest your money, so you have to just make these decisions. Trade associations, you want to be a massotherapist, you want to be a yoga instructor, you want to be a kinesiologist, you want to be a personal trainer. There are a plethora of organizations that you have to be involved in to get networking. They compete. Now you can do in multiple trade associations, or you can just concentrate on a singular trade association. But there's only so many shaking hands and kissing babies and all that stuff that you need to do. You need to concentrate on the people that do it best for your business. So you have to decide which trade association you can work with, which trade association work with you, which trade association you like, which trade association has the right fees, services, bonuses. I'll give some discounts on insurance if you're a certain yoga trade association, if you do a certain health food trade association like Denny does and all that stuff. You get certain benefits and certain perks. As alumni from McGill Primary, you're going to notice that you get certain benefits. You're going to get discounts on your car insurance. You're going to get discounts on airplane tickets. You should look at your alumni benefits because you're part of this alumni group. It's a trade association. You're alumni. You're a student. It's still it's kind of like a job being in school and all that stuff. So you should give into consideration which trade association you want to be. Community or industry, financing and certifications, and discussed that before. Now, when you register your business provincially or federally, once again, you have to do certain things that consider your liability. Quebec, now we're a charity, so I'm going to talk about this specifically. In Quebec, you cannot sue a charity unless you're not criminally negligible in actions. So if someone decides, well, I don't like what you're saying, I'm going to sue you, you can't sue me. If I'm a private for-profit company, you can sue me. But in Quebec, charities can't be sued. In Canada, works a bit differently. It all depends on what you want to do. Each province, Ontario, Alberta, Manitoba, have different requirements for business registration, tax filing, so on, PST, GST, HST collections. So these are things you need to consider. Also, revenue fluctuation, personal training. You know, everyone goes in Christmas time. You know, New Year's, I want to lose weight. In the springtime, everyone wants to lose weight. In the summertime, you're not going to get much business. So you have to decide what kind of area, what kind of season, which is going to be most profitable for your business. The customer demographics, going back to the 10, 20, 15% that I mentioned before. Are you in an educated area? Are you in an uneducated area? Are you in an area with all due respect, that people of the same ethnicity, people feel more comfortable dealing with people that are similar to them. So African Americans may be more inclined to hire an African American specialist than a white Caucasian specialist. So if you're in an area that's where of ethnicity or religious purposes that is greatly different than you, it may not be the best location for you. So you might want to keep and start off being in an area that people that have similar traits, be it religion, cultural, ethnicity, what have you want. Now, one thing I must say is that if you work in the health industry and the fitness industry, it's charitable. You're doing good for the community service. The benefit of being charity, you don't pay income taxes. Quebec is 32%, I believe, so if you make $1 million, you're at $320,000 right off the bat paying the federal government or the provincial government. So that's 1/3 of your hard-earned money gone. And that's your total sales. That didn't include your cost of operations, your taxes, the loss that you made off the depreciation of equipment. These are all things that you have to factor in when you want to do things. So one of the things that I found was we are interested charity, advancing education becomes a charitable purpose. I don't have to pay income tax. And I think that may be one benefit. So if you want to open up a yoga studio, you may want to open up a yoga studio that caters to senior citizens to help them recuperate in life. So you put in an application in your business documentation to be a charity with the Canadian Revenue Agency, and if it gets approved, because you're doing yoga for senior citizens, you don't have to pay taxes. And that can save you a hell of a lot of chunk of change in your pocket. You don't have to pay the federal or provincial governments. Salaries versus dividends if you want to be a for-profit corporation. Dividends are obviously shares and all that stuff. Charities can't do that. So if you want a salary, you're better off starting off with a charity. If you want to sell off shares, like a Google would or what have you not, then you can't be a charity. You can't be transferable either. So charities, once you start up a charity, that's always your charity. You can't pass it off to your children or anything like that. So if you're planning to transfer or sell your business, then you want to be a for-profit corporation. And of course, income tax deduction, as I've discussed before. Now, obviously, different provinces have different administration functions, different liabilities, different grants. Now we're going to talk about where you're going to get your money from. Financing. Most lending institutions in the health and fitness industry, no disrespect at all, will not give you money to start off your own business. The fitness and the health industries are high turnover industries. So there's a huge percentage of businesses that close. We're a high risk industry, and very few lending institutions will lend money to the health industry unless you have a good solid EBITDA, and that's in your financials. So if you have the revenue minus expenses and it's solid year after year after year after year, they may be inclined based off character lending. Credit unions function on that, community loan services function off that, and if the banks, if you deal with a specific banking representative that you have good contact with, they may decide to approve your loan based off of positive character and obviously the growth of your financials. So you need to have buildings, you need to have your ideas, your intellectual property, you need to have solid cash flow. If you just kind of go like, well, I have a personal trainer's business and I've got like 5,000 clients, it's not going to help you much. The banks won't care. Clients come and go. You can make $2 million in sales in February, but come March, $1 million, by April, $0, and by June you're closing your door. So the banks and all that stuff will not be so inclined to give you business because they have no clue based off your sales and all that stuff that you may be closing the agreement. Sales come and go. Like I said, there's a lot of get-rich-quick schemes out there. A lot of people shovel in money and then kind of like buy the stuff, it doesn't work, and just kind of fades off into the sunset. As you see a lot of like on infomercials and all that stuff, home gym equipment and all that stuff, it comes and goes. There's no real stake, so you can make a lot of sales in the beginning, but in the end, you'll be out of here. So banking institutions, governments, and all that stuff, for grants and all that stuff, will not give you money because there's no consistency or guarantee that you're going to be around for a long period of time. So you need a good solid EBITDA. It's very, very hard to secure financing in the fitness industry. I'm not going to lie to you, or even in the health industry. Dentists and all that stuff. There's so many dental clinics that come and go. They just, it's the way it is. Dentists start off a business, they only have 10 clients, and then by in a year from now, they only have 3 clients. These things happen. So, sources of financing. You have government grants and bursaries. Now, this is kind of the funniest thing is that you have federal grants and you have provincial grants. And every province has its own different grants. Federal grants, because of different laws between Quebec and Canada, some federal grants are not accessible in Quebec. That's the way it is. You know, it's kind of a sad reality, but an African-American 25-year-old lady will have a better chance of securing grants than a 40-year-old white Caucasian male. That's just the way it is. There are grants for ethnicity, there's grants for religion, there's grants for businesses. If you need money, you should not hold yourself back. If you're an African-American lady, apply for African grants. It's only worth $1,000 here, $2,000 there, but 1,000 plus 2,000 plus 3,000 plus 1,000 adds up to a lot of money. And if you're a white Caucasian male, you don't get that. If you're a newly landed immigrant in Canada, pretty much the Canadian government will finance your entire business. That's just the way life works. Sometimes it's not fair, but we don't choose our ethnicity, age, gender, and all that stuff, and that's just the way life works. Then you have banks, you have credit unions, as Carol had talked about before. That's a great source of revenue. Now, you also have charities and foundations. You have Centraide, you have UNICEF, United Way. These are charities, but their goal, or the Ontario Trillium Foundation and all that stuff, their goal is to disperse grants and donations to companies that provide specific services towards the community. So you should not ignore some charities. You should not ignore some foundations. Look into them. They provide money to start off your business. It exists out there. Charities is just, you know, you're starting off businesses. It's a charitable purpose because it's good for the community. So that's the reason why they do. They hand out money to people to start off businesses. They're nonprofits, helping businesses start off. And as Carol had mentioned briefly in her presentation, you have the guaranteed small business loans. That's from the federal government. And as Carol said, you know, you need 25% of your own money put into play, and the Canadian government will guarantee the financial institution 75% of the value. So if you want $100,000 on a guaranteed small business loan, you need $25,000 in assets, collateral, cash, or something like that. And the government will guarantee $75,000. The money goes to the bank. You never get, by the way, grants. You don't get the check in the mail, by the way. What you have to do actually is you have to have a relationship with the bank. So the guaranteed small business loans, what you do is you take your invoices with your company name, your address, your business number, your GST, HST, PST number, none of the cash under the table stuff. You take the invoices to the bank. So if under the guaranteed small business loan, they'll guarantee $100,000. You can start taking your invoices to the bank. The banks will cut the check out of that $100,000 that they control, and they will pay your bills for you. You will never see the check in the mail, not from a grant, not from a bank loan, or anything like that. So you need a good working relationship with your banks, with your lawyers, with your accountants, and that's why. Because people think, well, I'm going to apply for grants and I'm just going to get a check in the mail. Checks never come. And that's just one of those big mythologies that people think when they start off a business loan. So protect yourself, and this is getting into the conclusion, as I said, the insurance part of the game. In the health and fitness industry, it's a high, what's the name, not liability, it's when they sue you and all that stuff. There's a lot of suing going on in the health and fitness industry. So you need to protect yourself. Now you have two types of insurance that you really do need to consider no matter what you do for kinesiology, massotherapy, yoga, personal training. Is your general liability insurance and your professional liability insurance. Your general liability insurance is basically called your ordinary negligence insurance, and sometimes it's all called static risk. What that does is that it basically is responsible for your environment. So if you're, you know, you're working in a gym or something like that as a personal trainer and someone trips. Oh no, pardon me, not in a gym because the gym would have their own insurance. But if you have your own personal trainer studio and someone's walking up your steps to go to your studio and they trip on the ice outside and fall and slip, you're liable. That's where your general liability insurance comes into play. So if you have your own business with your own studio or what have you not, you need to protect yourself from at least general liability insurance. If you go working at someone else's house, like I'm a personal trainer, I'm going to go to your house to train yourself, I can't control the environment. So general liability probably wouldn't be the greatest asset I have, but if I have people to come to me for business, to come to me for my services in some place of business, you're going to need your general liability. Now if you have a professional liability, that's your malpractice insurance. That's what everyone sees on the news and all that stuff, and it's huge in the States. So this is what happens when you protect you from injury. So if I'm personal training someone and I hurt them and they sue me, at least now I have insurance to pay for the money. Because as I am a professional, is the people when your clients go to you in the health industry,
They're relying on your knowledge, your expertise, and it's a sort of trust confidence thing. And this is really written in the insurance clause as well, it's trust and confidence. So if you wind up hurting them or misdiagnose them or what have you not, and they catch you on that, they can sue you, you are responsible. So if they have to go get a second opinion, or they have to go to the doctor, or they have to go travel somewhere, or the hospital insurances take time off from their job because they have to go to the hospital, what have you not, you're financially responsible for all that stuff. So like if you're massaging someone and it's only $50 a session in your pocket, and you wind up hurting them and it's going to cost you $2 million in damage and liability, you're not going to be around that long. You lose your house, you lose your car, you're going to lose everything. You're responsible. So that's why you need professional liability insurance. In most instances, in most businesses, you're going to need both. Because if people are coming to your place of business, you have to worry about tripping. If they slip on the ice, what have you not, general liability, and if you hurt them, you have your professional liability. You're going to need both, but at least need one. And if you get a job in a yoga studio, if you get a job in a kinesiology studio, if you get a job in a gym, a lot of these instances, they're going to require that you pay for that because the company itself won't want to pay to cover its own employees. They can't really control what you say and do, no matter what you take for certification or you're not. They can take lead certification and then turn around and say to everyone, you should never even hard to get in your life. You know, he can't control what I'm going to say or do in the gym. So neither can the gym, so they obviously pass on the insurance costs to you. So you really have to take into consideration your insurance is your only protection against damage and liability. Things happen, folks. You know, if everyone can see the problems and damages that was going to occur to them, nothing bad would ever happen to us. But obviously, in life, the most bad things happen on that idle Tuesday at 4 p.m. when you're just minding your own business and something happens. Or you're just doing the same thing with a client that you're doing all the time, and all of a sudden, snap, something breaks. You don't know. And you can't be no guarantees in life, so insurance will at least give you the guarantee that you're financially protected and your reputation is protected. So even if something bad happens, you can continue on in this world. So the last things that you need to do besides insurance, protect your ideas. Going back to distribution, legal contracting, and all that stuff, you have to protect yourself. So if you have an idea, you have to copyright it. Because if you don't copyright it, I'm like, well, that's a very good idea enough, I'm going to use that idea. So you've got to put all the time and effort in doing all the work, all the development, but you never copyright it. I can turn around and steal your idea, copyright it, and call it my own. It's just that simple. You can steal other people's ideas. If you copyright it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm going to take your idea and steal it, well, now you have a recourse for legal liability. You can sue them for copyright infringement, get every cent of money that you rightfully earn, because that's your idea. You get that money back. That's intellectual property law. It's part and parcel of the way business is. You have to protect your ideas. If you come up with a piece of equipment that's unique, you have to patent it. Because if this is like a really good computer system, well, I'm going to just copy your computer system and all that stuff and make all the money for myself, and then you make nothing. If you don't have the patent, you don't have claim to those ideas. So you need to patent, you need to claim ownership of these ideas. If you don't patent, someone's going to steal it from you. It's just the way life is. And trademark. You come up with a slogan. You come up with an idea. The reality is, I'm just going to use my own experience. Our slogan is better health through education. Since I started, I've been only around for 2 years, and already 2 people have started off better health through knowledge and better health through fitness. Because I've been passing on my business card. If you go check my website, Better Health Through Education, people have ripped off Better Health Through Education and just try to modify it a little tweak. So people will steal your ideas. It's just, I can't explain that in no matter what terms. So no matter what you do for your business, protect your ideas.
It's like that in music.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, you can come up with a song, and someone else without your knowledge and all that stuff will make a rip off of it. God, you know how many songs it sounded like to me? They take from a C major to a C minor. That's pretty much the only difference. And copyright, that's fine, but you're just cutting across on it. I don't know the music business that well, but you look at P. Diddy and all that stuff, he's got to get permission to use all these other people's songs that he remixes and cuts into his music. Because if he didn't, he'd be sued. And you see this a lot of the time. One of these guys from Grand Theft Auto 5 that just came out, Scarlet Rockstar, the maker of the video game, unauthorized, used his music without authorization. So he's suing Rockstar for like umpteen millions of dollars because the game sold 1 million. He's suing for like 20 million on that stuff. I read it off the website. I don't know what's going on with the story, but that just goes to show you even video game companies will steal your musics. Anybody will steal anything. If you give them a modicum of opportunity to steal, they will take it. And that's just the way it is. So in conclusion, the strongest muscle is in your heart. Always care. Because if you don't care about your business, if you don't care about the people, and you don't care what you do, you will not succeed simply because you don't care to succeed. And if you don't care, why are you even starting your own business? Get yourself a job, punch in, punch out, 9 to 5, collect your paycheck, go home. If you don't care about your business, there's no point getting your own business. Protect your ideas, as I just discussed. Education doesn't stop with school. It's always a learning situation. Denny said the same thing during his presentation. If you just keep doing it, there's always going to be new things to learn. School gives you general perspective, certification gives you a focal perspective, but there's nothing better experience than by doing it. So just do it, as you've seen the other presentations as well. And if you believe in yourself, everyone will believe in you. If you don't believe in what you're saying, and you don't believe in what you're doing, no one will believe you. And if no one believes you, why would they give you money? And if you're, that's just the way it is. It's your business. If you don't believe in it, you don't care, you don't succeed. So I want to thank you very much for all coming to this event. Thank you. Like I said, this is our first event at McGill. It's our first event doing this, so it means a lot the fact that you came here today and supported me, Caval, Glenn, and Doug, and Denny, and her team. And I really don't know what else to say, but thank you for everything. So if you have any questions, I know everyone here, because they go on my website, they know where to contact me because it's right on the website. Anybody have any questions?
No, I just want to say, Jonathan, that was an outstanding presentation. Clear, crisp, concise, and a lot of information. And what I really liked is that you're home to the deal to help the people you're talking to.
That's what we're charity. That's what we do.
There you go.
Even it, I wouldn't be doing it, and that's why I'm here today. And as I said, putting an event like this it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and I'm not here to make money because it's as much as I'd love to have had 50 people here doing it. 50 people, it's not a lot, right? You're doing it because you want to help people. You care, and that's why I'm here today. And this caring will help me grow my business 15, 20 years down the line, because I intend to be around 15, 20 years. I'm not just here to get rich quick.
Well said.
That's pretty much, I have nothing else to say. Thanks very much for everyone coming. Thank you.
I feel you should have a bottle of wine for coming in and reading the present. I hope you will accept from it. No, I hope that you will accept from the spirit that you walk away after. My pleasure. All the best to you.